So, Michael, here we are on Thesis 10, where, as far as I can see, you start to explain in a bit more detail what these two powerful forces are on mortality, how natural selection affects mortality and fecundity. So I wonder if you could give us a bit more detail about those forces here.
So the first thing to keep clearly in mind about Thesis 10 is there are two separate forces acting on survival or mortality and fecundity, or if you like, fertility. They don't have the same qualitative shape, but they have roughly similar consequences in most populations. In most populations, both of these forces tend to fall, often fall very fast, after the start of adulthood. As I said before when talking about Thesis 9, there's a bit of a fudge here because the force of natural selection acting on fecundity is actually falling during childhood when you don't have any fecundity. But you can essentially think of both of them in the following way. During childhood, natural selection is very powerful. That is when it is at its strongest. Doesn't mean it's all powerful. Natural selection is not like God. It cannot do anything. In fact, of course, in the previous 9 theses, I've talked a lot about things that impinge on the strength and efficacy of natural selection, how and why natural selection can't do anything at all that you might, in the abstract, imagine it doing, like giving gills to whales or dolphins. In thesis number 10, I'm putting forward a contrast between what happens in childhood when natural selection is really busting a gut. It's really working hard to help you survive and to get you ready to reproduce once your adulthood starts. So it's really a spectacular feat, this whole developmental process. And to an evolutionary biologist like myself, it's not surprising that all this spectacular thing gets done when the forces of natural selection are at their greatest. They're their most powerful. So whammo, we go through this incredible process of being born and developing and differentiating and growing and learning stuff and, somehow surviving grade 5 and our groupie math teacher and eventually going through, the traumas of puberty and become fully functioning adults. So all of that is natural selection, working hard, not being an underachiever, doing its bit. And then, despite having accomplished this miraculous feat over the first, 14 to 18 years of our lives, natural selection over the next 50 to 80 years seems to sort of give up on us. Like, if we were so important when we were younger, why doesn't it care now? It's like, you used to call me and ask me out, to go to a movie. Why don't you call me anymore? You don't care. Well, in a sense, that's right. We know quantitatively, using mathematical theory, that in fact, in Hamilton's force of natural selection, we can quantitatively plot out the way natural selection, during your first part of your adulthood, is progressively giving up on you. It is indeed caring less and less with each passing year. And the result of that, we expect, will be a tendency to sooner or later suffer declining rates of survival and declining fertility. So, subjectively, we experience our bodies as falling apart. Now, in the next series of theses, I'll be going over the ways in which our subjective experience is or is not correct. But in terms of the grand evolutionary view, you can say, when you're a child, natural selection has been your friend. For 90 to 96% of the population of children, natural selection has given them amazing health in the absence of contagious disease and traffic accidents and abusive parents or school teachers. Just a child on their own, given good conditions, will normally be in fantastic health. And then, as an adult, Hamilton's equations say You're going to lose that, dude, if you have a reproductive system like that of a human. More on this later in the 55.